Hi guys, welcome back to Lawlor's Law. This is your raw unfiltered Birmingham City podcast, where it's been a good start to the season. I know it was the Carabao Cup first round, but we won away from home. But before we get into that, we've got, I'd say, a special guest, but basically the background man who runs everything. So Josh, how are we doing?
I'm stressed, mate, because you boys keep giving me work to do, but I'm smashing it, mate. I'm living life. How are you?
Good, mate. Good. Like, very, very.
It's all good until Max tells me he doesn't want me on the podcast.
What did he say? It's a lie. He's barefaced lying now. Viewers, he's lying.
I'm going to put the message over the top of this podcast right here. I swear Max doesn't want me in it.
You know, one of them situations where your partner says to you, like, they can take it in two ways. Always take it in the best way, and this is why. Because Max meant it in an innocent, nice way, and Josh took it as oh, you don't want me on the pod then?
No, I just thought I'd wind Max up because messages come out different ways. But, no, I'm glad to be on, boys. Good to come and see you.
It's good to have you. So. And speaking of Mad Max, how are we?
I'm okay. I'm good. Josh, there's so much love for you, mate. Don't be like that. Come on. We're all friends here. Yeah, I'm good. I missed the eclipse because it was behind a fucking rain cloud. So that pissed me off. It's been 2 months of solid sunshine, and the time when there's a solar eclipse, the rain cloud decides to descend on the world. So thanks for that. I'm in Worcester, so didn't see it properly, but whatever. Only comes every once in 100 years. But I'm cool. I'm chill about it. Apart from the eclipse, I'm good. We won it. We won at Swansea. I'm happy, and the season starts very soon, and I'm excited.
Welcome to Lawlor's Law 2026 bingo card, where Mad Max pissed off over an eclipse was not on my list. Don't know about anyone else. No. Well, yeah.
At least it's not James Beadle.
I've got to give him some praise tonight. We will get something out the way. Just so we're all aware, obviously, our third and right-hand man, Jord, is away with some personal stuff at the minute. So we're sending you love, Jord. Obviously, you know where we are. But he has still sent us wonderfully, because it's Jordan, his points of views. So we will get around to saying his points of views for him on his behalf. And he has given us a wanker of the week. So we'll get to that at the end. But yeah, Swansea game. Josh, I want to throw this at you. You went, you drove, you had the fun of traveling. Go on.
Fun of travel. 11 hours worth of driving to get.
I just accidentally muted Josh instead of myself. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it just got muted. I was just like, oh, first Max, now you. No, Swansea was an interesting day out. First thing I want to say, fair play to their fans, because they were fucking loud from minute one. They didn't give us... Our fans were trying to sing, but they outsung us on every song. And yeah, you can see all the videos. They had two sides of the ground. That was it. But they put all their singers in the right spot and just out-drowned us all game. Obviously, there's a typical bit of banter between the two fans. So crowd-wise, it was a good game. Good to be back in the feel of it. As for the game, we won, but it was a shit show, that first half. We had a discussion earlier because Max said he couldn't work out how the lineup was. That Pate being up front or Pate being in that 10 role is never going to happen. He had the worst game I've seen him play for Blues. He was completely out of it. John Solis looked uncomfortable with him there. Iwata looked uncomfortable with him there. He just didn't seem to have the motivation to attack. He seemed to keep trying to drop in, and you sat there going, you're meant to be in that attacking play. Stano looked very quiet. Priska had a chance before he scored. And for the love of God, I don't know why he passed the ball. The ball's come to him in the 18-yard box, and rather than turning and sticking his foot through it like a striker, he tried to, I'm assuming, find John Solis, but ended up giving it to Asai Samuel. Worst decision he could have made. But there were a few standout performances. Prisk's little touch for the goal is incredible. And I travelled down with a few lads that Jay, and we were sat talking in the car, and they were like, oh, Priska is going to be crap this season. He scored 1 goal. And I said, he's going to bag 20 goals this season. That'd be where I put it. He's 15 is a minimum, 20 I think he hits. And they were all telling me that I was chatting up my arse. And I said, watch us win 1-0 today and Priska will score the goal. As soon as Priska scored, they all just looked at me and put their hands in their head because they knew what was coming. So that was a good bit of wind-up on the way home. But no, that first half was awful. Thank God their number 30 can't shoot and Adamida can't shoot, because if they could, we'd have been 4-5-0 down at the break and rightly deserved to be. Second half started. Pate didn't come back out. Made a few changes. We went into one point where Gray was on the left, Laird was on the right, and Vincente came into that 10. And John Solis, the second that happened, you seen his whole pressure just drop, and he just controlled the game. He was everywhere winning the ball back. He was everywhere getting the ball. Every pass he made was going forward, and he was bringing into Vincente in the 10 role, who was just taking it cross body and around him and just going and looking out to Laird on the right, looking out to Gray on the left, and bringing in Prisk up front. And when Vasquez come on, it was look for Vasquez, and Vasquez is getting the flick onto Vincente. And Vincente going into that 10 role wouldn't be something I'd say all season, but for the last 20 minutes of a game, 15, 20 minutes of a game, if you want someone to get that ball in the midfield, you give it John Solis and Vincente. They linked really well. Clara and Neumann, I don't think a brick wall would have got past them. They'd have just headed it back out. Or the Eclipse, they would have headed it into the right place, and Max could have seen it. More importantly, I think the one person who, I say this to you boys, don't hate on him every week, and I'm going to absolutely love all over the guy, because Beadle, what a guy. Like, it's not only just the save, his kicking is a hell of a lot better this season so far. There was a guy that mowed, he kicked one ball down to Gray, and it bounced over Gray, went out for throw, and he was like, oh, typical Beadle, kicks it out for throw. And I was like, look at last season, he'd kick it and it wouldn't be anywhere near a player. It was going out for a throw. At least that one that went out for a throw, it was because Gray just wasn't quick enough to get on the end of it, but it went to a player. Vasquez come on and Prisker up the top. He hit them every time with the ball. It was directly where they needed to be. Yeah, slight little movement, but he was there. He commanded his box for the last 5-10 minutes, which last year you've seen him back off quite a lot. That last 5 minutes of added time or whatever it was, he made sure that people were in the right places. He's barking at Clara, he's barking at Neumann and Asai Samuel and players to be in their positions, and you can hear him in the crowd shouting and guiding people where they need to be. And then he's coming out and he's collecting the ball, and he just had control of it. And I think we generally are, I'll say this now, touch wood, we don't, because if he goes to Sheffield United now and fucks up, it's going to come back on me. But I'm hoping we're going to see a different Beadle this season. And generally, he has gone off and worked on the things that he may have got slated for last season. Because so far during pre-season, the Barcelona game, and especially at Swansea, I don't think he's put a foot wrong. Also, then he comes up with the incredible save to keep us ahead in the second half. Nice save down to his left. But ultimately, I think the whole team that bet. Buchanan, I've seen a lot of people a bit mixed on Buchanan coming in. Personally, I don't think he looked sharp. He looked a bit rusty still. A few wayward passes, a few touches that went out wayward and a bit out of play and stuff. But from a guy that's coming back from the long injury that he's had, it's understandable, and maybe a bit more time. But he still looked good. Cochrane looked okay, and then got injured again. I don't know how serious that injury is, whether that's going to be a big one. Priska's injury, I think he went in for attack to get the ball back and just got stood on. So I'm hoping that's nothing serious, maybe a couple of days to just rest in. But yeah, Stano looked a bit lost, in my opinion. I don't know whether his mind is elsewhere. I know the rumours online at the moment are him apparently leaving and stuff. But whether that's true or not, he just seemed to lack any confidence to take on players. He didn't really want to run. Well, he ran, but it wasn't like the Stano we know. The Stano we know gets the ball, he wants to beat the man, and he tries to beat the man. And this was Stano got the ball and just tried to pass it off as much as he could. But yeah, as much as we're going into the starting 11 a little bit later, as much as it's pretty much the same as last season, I think there's a lot of changes that have happened, and we did look a bit more direct. So it'll be interesting to see how we go away at Sheffield United, but ultimately got the win. round 2, Brentford at home. It's going to be a tough one with Wrexham on that Friday, but I think we could beat Brentford at the moment. They don't look anything massive, so yeah, take a nice little cup run. But ultimately, I think the focus starts on Saturday and away at Sheffield United, and that's where it needs to be. But yeah, good day in general. Well said. Yeah,
Lovely. That's pretty much sums it all up, doesn't it? I watched it myself. Obviously, I've been away doing youth work for a week in Stafford, but I managed to get the game on Saturday, so I watched the game. Yeah, I agree with all your points. I think Beadle looked a lot more commanding. I think Bright had a decent game for Bright.
The problem with Bright was there were still a lot of times that he was out of position, and a few chances in the second half. What obviously the back toss, it's coming down, and you sat there going, "You need to be the last man back," but too many times I'm seeing Iwata take into that position and take that right back. And as much as Davis says Iwata is a right back, he's really not. I'd like to see Bright more stronger there. The only time he really made a statement point was when Laird come on. And it was then kind of like you could see him fighting for his place rather than just playing. So, yeah. Bright's got a lot to prove, I think, still.
Where do we stand on Ethan on right wing, Max? And I'll ask you this. Do you think Laird could work on the right as a backup option to come on? Pace, power?
Yeah, I think Laird's the man that you've relied on to come on. If you look at the League One season, Laird was a man that obviously played a lot, but he was also the man that came on towards the last 20, 30 minutes of a game because League One defences were absolutely dead, and you just get Ethan to run at them for fun, and he just trickle past them, get a penalty, get himself into the box. He got a couple of goals that season as well. So Ethan is a man that you can have on the right. I wouldn't suggest it necessarily. The only thing I wanted to ask Josh before I carry on is that on FOTMob, Bright Samuel got an 8.1. He got man of the match on FOTMob for that game against Swansea. So did you think he was an 8.1? I mean, the next one down was Beadle, who got 8 out of 10. That they gave BOS, bag of shit, 8.1. So did you think he was an 8.1, Josh?
I think bag of sweets is more what they were judging him on, because the guy looks ridiculous. He's bulked out, but he's got this tiny little head. But I think that's ridiculous. I wouldn't say the worst player on the pitch, because I'll give that Paik all day long. But I'm not going to sit there and slate him and say he had an awful game and he was the worst player on the pitch, because he was out of position a few times, but he also did track back. He watched the man hard. Like, they didn't really have a lot, and anything they did have the first half come down the left-hand side, it come through Cochrane's side. So maybe I am being a bit too harsh just because I think he is a bag of shit. But I don't think he was man of the match. I think Beadle's man of the match, in honesty. And I think if you're going to look for a close second, it's got to be John Solis or Vincente, because Vincente's runs to start that second half were incredible. And he ultimately allowed us to have that attacking force where first half we didn't really have it. So, yeah.
Well, I think in terms of that, Bright Samuel is somebody that he never seems to go away. You think a lot earlier in the summer you thought he might leave and leave pretty quickly. I think there were some indications that he might go, towards the end of July and start of August. But he hasn't gone anywhere, so he's still there, and I think he will stay. He's a player that has himself admitted that he wasn't fit for most of last season. He was in an interview saying that he wasn't fit properly for the whole season, which I could completely see and understand and agree with, because every time I saw him playing, after 55 minutes, the bloke was blowing on the sideline and went down and asked to come off. So every single game, he was absolutely knackered after 55, 60 minutes, whatever. So yeah, I think that he needed to work on his fitness in the off season. Whether the bulking out is a part of that, whether it's gym work, whether it's cardiovascular, I don't know. But he needs to sort himself out. So if that is something that he's tried to work on, then that's good. Paik in the 10. Something that I asked a question of this last week was about the fact that what is more guaranteed in this life than Paik and Iwata starting for Chris Davis's Birmingham City, and somebody said it was death and taxes. They're the only two guarantees that you have in this world that are of a similar nature as those two starting, because no matter what we do, Chris Davis has to slot Paik in somewhere. He has to slot Iwata in somewhere, and they always need to play together. And I've always said this: the undroppables, they're straight back into it. So we're not seeing much difference than last year. We've spoken about the fact that the starting 11 was barely different to the starting 11 against Portsmouth on the last day of last season. So in terms of transfers and squad depth, how much better are we looking? How much different are we looking? Not very different at all. We've seen today that, and we're recording on Wednesday today, and I think that we've just seen Gelhardt has gone to Hull for 7-8 million, something like that. So, or he's going to go to Hull for 7 or 8 million. It's not been guaranteed. I don't properly announced, has it yet? I'm not sure, but it's rumoured that he's going back to Hull, which is where he was before. So, if we've lost out on him, it's another one that we've lost out on. We'll come on to transfers a little bit more later on, but yeah, I think that's upsetting because he is the player that we need, the kind of player that we need in the number 10 role. And instead we shoehorn Paik into it instead. And I just don't get it. I don't really understand what the point was. I don't see Paik as a 10 at all. I don't see him as a 10. You boys will probably agree he's not a 10. And Chris Davis must see something else. But you said about John Solis was looking uncomfortable with him in front of him. And as soon as somebody with a bit of ability and a bit of forward thinking like Vicente came into that role, he started to calm down and look okay and a bit more assured because he knows he's got someone in front of him that might play forward instead. John Solis is probably worried the fact that Paik's going to play fucking backwards because that's all he ever does. And he's going to keep giving him the ball. So he doesn't want it in those tight situations. Still don't get the Patrick Roberts situation. I know that there's rumours of a bit of an altercation last year, maybe. And when you saw him being benched that around the time that might have happened, and we haven't really seen Patrick Roberts at all too much towards the end of last season. Nothing. I really feel like Patrick Roberts is somebody that can play the 10 role, and he can play it. He can play it well. I don't see Ducks. I just still don't know what's going to happen with him, but I don't see him as a 10. He's too lazy. He's not creative enough. He's got a good finish, but he's too slow. He's not forward thinking enough. Jay has been interviewed in the last couple of days with talking about his preferred position. Josh, you touched on it and said about that you don't know if he's going to go. He's not going anywhere. He said that he's committed to Birmingham City. He sees himself here for the rest of the season at least. So he will be playing for Birmingham City this year, Jay Stansfield, absolutely. But he has stated that he will play wherever Chris Davis needs him to play. But he kind of insinuated that he may not be happy with that. But he said his preferred position was a 9. We all know that he's a striker. We all know that he wants to play as a 9. The year that we got relegated, what did he get? 12 goals? Was it 12, 13 goals, something like that? And that's in a team that got relegated, for God's sake. And he still managed to bag that many because he played in that position for that season. So it's difficult because Prisk is a 9. Jay sees himself as a 9. Davis doesn't seem to want to play both of them at the same time up front, almost like a 4-4-2 or a 4-4-1-1, however it might be laid out. He can't seem to fit them both up front on the same pitch, which means that they both can't play 9, So I don't know where that leaves us because Jay will probably find himself out on the left-hand side quite a lot this season, which is not really where he wants to be, but he will play there and he'll try and do the best he can. But I think, Josh, you said he looked a little bit lost. He probably feels a little bit lost. I think that's the problem. He's hungry to score goals and he's pushed out on the left-hand side. Buchanan, you mentioned Buchanan. I wanted to pick up on that because do you know how many days he was injured for? I saw this the other day. Do you know how many days?
673 or something stupid like that.
I was going to throw 600 out there.
You've gone too high now.
May put a tweet about it.
Yeah, you've gone too high now, so it makes it look shit. But it was about 585, 587, something like that. I think it was. So that's nearly 2 years. Sorry, that he's been out for, which is a long time. And that's really, really good that he's back. And it's going to take him a long time, Josh. You said he looked a bit rusty, but my God, it'll take him a long time to get back fit, being out for that many days. I think Cochrane can't stay fit. He missed a third of the end of last season because that injury, his injury last year started out something very small. And Chris Davis said that he would be out for a couple of weeks and we didn't see him for the rest of the year. So I don't know what happened with that. He's back in pre-season training. He's injured again. So what do we say? I know he got kicked around quite a bit at Swansea because we saw that. He got kicked a couple of times, but he can't stay fit. And then Buchanan's not ready either. So my whole point with that was that you will see Lund sooner rather than later. So Christoph Lund will be playing for us very, very soon, I think, in the league. That's the thing I'm going to kind of put my head out and stretch my neck out and say that I think Lund will be in that first team within the first couple of months, definitely. Well, first month or so. I think he will be our starting left back. Jay, did you want to add something to that?
Yeah, just can someone explain to me, and this sounds really horrible to say, what does Cochrane offer apart from a good delivery?
Well, he's got, this is what I've said before, he's got a really, really good wand of a left foot. He's got a really good wand of a left foot, and the balls that he puts in are fantastic. He's got a really good, like, dead ball specialist almost. But as you want that as a left winger, really. As a left back, your main job is to defend. And that's been forgotten about in this modern game. If you look at the right backs and left backs of old, the Ashley Coles, the Gary Nevilles of the world, their only job was to go up to that halfway line, and they never went past it because their job was to defend. So Cochrane, yes, he does have a good delivery, but he's not a great defender, and he got found out a lot last year, which is something I banged on about last year on the podcasts, which is that he cannot keep up with his attacker. When he's against a fast winger, he gets turned inside out. They've got him on.
Same at Swansea, that number 30 on the right hand side,
Terrorised him.
Congo, what his name is, just literally had the guy it was like he was just stood there going, what's going on? The one thing that Cochrane has, which really doesn't help, is as soon as he come off the field, we couldn't put a good cross in the box because Peck decided to take over corners and put two of them up for a goal kick. 587 days, I found the tweet.
Yeah, there you go.
Almost 2 years. The one thing I wanted to mention about Lund before you go on, there was a situation that happened at Swansea that potentially I could see where Lund will fit. Obviously, Laird come on in that right wing position. So he played in there. He looked very comfortable. And he backtracked for Bright Side Samuel when he went forward and stuff. And you could kind of see that as Bright Side Samuel went up, Buchanan come in and they went to a back three. Now, to me, the way that I'd be playing if you are defending but wanting to still attack, you have Buchanan left centre back, you have Clara in the middle, and you have Neumann on the right. You have Lunt at left wing back, and you have Laird at right wing back, because they're both going to attack. If we're defending, you put defenders at 5. If we're attacking down the left, Laird slots in as a right back, and you go to a back 4. If you're going down the right, Lunt slips in as a left back, and you go to a back 4 that way, and we move over, and Neumann then goes into the right back position. But when he brought off Stano and he brought on Gray, that left position, Gray kind of played as a left wing back, and Buchanan had that freedom to roll. And you could kind of see that panning out in front of you, that it was more like a back 3 with wing backs, but not trusting Bright Side Samuels to go forward. But I feel like that could be somewhere where Lunt will play this season. Is Buchanan, ultimately, to me, once he's fully fit and had a bit more game time, is our best left back and has been since the day he came in. He's an incredible player. Wagner was a different gravy, don't get me wrong, but he can, as Jay says, go in, get his balls out of his missus' handbag. But I think Buchanan on that left is going to be solid for the season because he can attack, he can get goals, he can get assists, he can put a ball in just as good as Cochrane can. But he's also got the defensive side to him. He's very fast, and if he can keep fit, and I'm hoping, touching wood, he can. I think Buchanan's going to be massive this season because he can, like I said, he can play in that left back. He can push a bit forward. He can also drop into a centre half if we wanted to get a bit more defensive and put 3 at the back.
Yeah, I think that all we all happy with that. I'm happy with that to be.
I just wanted to throw in one more thing about the game itself. Buchanan, yes, Josh, he was my player of the season when we went down. I know that's funny to say, but we didn't have many good players that year. But Buchanan was all over the shot. He was basically defending on his own because he had Sanderson and Iwu next to him who were absolutely shite. So he was one of my players of the season, and then he got a terrible injury. So I'm really glad he's back. And he could be one of our best left backs. But I personally think that you will see Lund in that position because I think that I love the idea of playing a back 5 in defending, going to a 3 or a 4 the way you described it when you're attacking, because it gets us up the pitch a little bit more, and those overlapping, left wing back, right wing back, that can work really well. I don't know if Davis will play it too often. I think he's very rigid. This is where it comes into his ability to adapt. I don't know. Let's hope we see a different Chris Davis, because this is all we're pining for as fans, isn't it, this year? We're hoping to see a lot of different things. Tactics he's worked on in the summer. Josh, I really hope we see some of what you've said, because I think it'll work for us with the players that we've got at our disposal. I do think it'll work. But in terms of Swansea, I didn't watch it. I was working. I couldn't watch it. We were relying on Josh for kind of updates and pictures and videos and everything else that he took. Great to win. Really, really good to win. I said on the podcast that we had last with Tommy that the best thing to do to start a competitive season is to set the tone. And I said you need to set the tone by going away from home, which we were so bad at last season. And even Chris Davis admitted it himself in his big interview at the ground with the fans, the Platinum fans. Go away from home and go and win. Now, you don't necessarily have to win well, but it's about the fact you win, and that sets the tone for the season. So I think a lot of fans still aren't happy with the performance, still not happy with winning because the performance wasn't great. But if those same fans come back to me at the end of the year and I say, we won 12 games away this season by playing exactly like that, nobody will have an issue. Nobody will care. And that's the biggest thing about it, is that if you go in and I don't know if I said this to you boys, but that result at Swansea, the way we played, the fact that we sat in quite early, we did invite a bit of pressure, and luckily they couldn't finish, but we defended quite well. Clara and Neumann headed everything that they could see. We got our goal from a set piece because it was lofted over from Cochrane. It bounced, put back in. So it was from a set piece again. So well done, Scott Fry. He's smashing it again. We got our goal, and then we sat in, soaked up a bit more pressure, and we just defended and saw the game out. It really reminded me of the Preston away game last year. Mm-hmm. And that Preston away game last year was how we kept referring back to, saying, I wish Davis would play away from home like he did at Preston. Every week we went away and we lost, and we kept going away from home and setting up like we were playing at home. We were attacking teams from the start away from home, leaving too many gaps, trying to take the initiative, trying to go at teams away. And you can't do that in the Championship. You have to play it clever. The poorer teams like the Oxfords last year, maybe you can go at them. But when you're going away to Sheffield United like we are on Saturday, when we were going away to Coventry last year and we got battered and we should have lost 8-0, regardless of the Jack Robinson head loss, you can't go into away games and play like you do at home. It's just very, very difficult in this league. So the Preston game last year, fantastic. The Swansea game this year, it's pretty drab. It's pretty rubbish. It's not great to watch. Josh maybe was a bit bored, watching the game. But we got a result. So who's moaning and who's singing at the end of the game? We're singing, and all those loud Swansea fans that were there singing their hearts out, they're the ones that aren't in the next round of the Cup against Brentford. So I think come back to us at the end of the year. We win loads of games away like that. Nobody gives a fuck. And that's the biggest point from it. I'm an advocate for wanting to be entertained at home. I really think that at home is our fortress. Third best team at home last year. Third best team in terms of, yes, we drew a lot that we should have won. I know that, Jamie. I know that's a big thing for you. You hate the fact that we drew so many games that we should have won, and I agree with you. But we were entertained at home. We scored loads of goals. We were third best team behind Coventry, and it must have been Ipswich, I think. It must have been. And that's good. That's where we want to be entertained. That's where we got our season tickets. The guys that go up and down the country away, fair play to them, but they don't care really how we perform if we get a result. Because if we perform badly and we don't get a result, fair play, that's when they start getting angry, which was last year. We didn't even try. We didn't have a shot. We didn't go at them. We didn't do anything. This year, if we play away, we grab a couple of goals and it's smash and grab, people don't care as much. So I just wanted to say that there seems to be a lot of fans still out there that aren't happy still that we won. For God's sake, we won away at Swansea, meant to be a top 10 team this year in the Championship. They've got a good squad. Be happy. It's got good signs. Let's go to Sheffield United. Do the same. I'm going to Sheffield. If we go to Sheffield and we're shit and we win 1-0, I'll be... If we go to Sheffield and we win 1-0 in the same way, I'll be singing all the way home, as I'm sure every other 2,800 Blues fans will be. So, I just wanted to add that in. It's very early on in the season, but if we play like that away, I don't think people care.
Yeah.
I've got one final comment on Swansea. If they watch the podcast, can Clara or Neumann let us know who took Vipotnik home in their pocket, because that guy was fucking not seen when he come on. They kept him quiet the whole game. So if they can let us know what pocket he went in, we'll send you some money, mate, because honestly, he looked awful when he come on. And them two just, every ball, if it went up high, Neumann put his head through it. If it went down low, Clara come underneath it. He just had no time on the ball. And like you said, it's a stamp in the ground. If you play how we did the first half, we're going to go away to teams that get battered all season. That second half, where everyone fought and everyone played as a team, and we jowled and we looked strong and we closed down their biggest counter-attacks, honestly, we'll do well this season. But yeah, if they can let us know whose pocket Vipotnik went home in, it'd be greatly appreciated, guys.
Yeah, agree. Love that. Before we move on to the next thing, I personally have to put an apology out to Birmingham City, so I might as well get this out of the way now. I received a phone call on the first day of me being away with youth work off Birmingham City. Picked up the phone, and I don't know how they've done it, but they've linked my actual last name to Lawlor's Law, and they phoned me directly and had a chat with me. I whinged about the ticket office for over 2 minutes, and after speaking to them, it turns out that it weren't a ticket office issue and they were legit tickets and they should have worked as they do, and the stewards are just being a bit overbearing and for some reason being donuts, and they've explained that to me. And so, yeah, I'd just like to put out that, you know what, Birmingham, fair play for phoning me and for sorting that situation out. Fair play for taking the time for me and saying, can you tell us what happened? Apologising to me as well, saying that shouldn't have happened to you, that's bang out of order. And actually making me feel heard. So, honestly, like, thumbs up for you there, ticket office, well done. Like, and I promised that I would atone it on the next podcast, and here I am. So
I think that's really good of them to do that. I do. I think it's good of them to listen. I think it's also fantastic for us to know that they're watching us. So,
yeah.
Hello.
Stop. Hi, guys.
Stop
Hi,
fucking
Wagner,
playing.
all right, mate.
Stop starting a Watter and Pake together for the 5 millionth time in 2 years since the start of fucking League One. Stop doing it. All right. Sorry. All right.
But no, big shout out, Lynn, ticket office, phoned me personally, took time, like, genuinely. Incredible customer service, had a good chat with me. I genuinely panicked for about 10 minutes when she said my name and saw something about yous online about the tickets. Can you explain what happened? I was like, oh God. But then at the end, they even said,
Blues, just a random woman that's rang you.
No, it was from the Birmingham City number, so I hope so. And they even said to us at the end, keep up the good work. So thank you guys, appreciate. And yeah, that's my little bit of admin. And, you know, I'm very much a man who will call stuff out, but I'm also a man who will atone for his errors and say when I've been outed and said, no, that's not right, I will put a public apology out there. So, to Sheff.
To be fair, you were close for that comment being Wanker of the week, but we'll get to that later.
Cool. So, in other news, it looks like we might be having a director of football coming in. Paul Mitchell, is it?
Yeah.
Is what I'm hearing. Anyone want to jump on that bandwagon and talk about it?
I don't know if you know much about him, Max, because I honestly haven't got a clue. This is not my forte. I just know he was at Newcastle and their fans were happy with him. So
I think he's been at a few reputable clubs. He's done a few reputable transfers, quite a few, and he's had his fingers in multiple pies, and he's done a good job. I think, from what I know, I don't know too much about him as well. All I know is that you have to normally base these decisions on the fans' reaction to it. So when you look at a director of football or a chief executive, anything like that, so you know, I just think that if you base it on the fans' outlook on it and what they think of somebody, it's normally a great tell for what they're going to be like. And most of the things that I've seen, the majority of things that I'm seeing, is that it's a positive introduction to the club if he's brought in. So yeah, don't know too much about it, but I'm going to do some bit more research on it. I think we need to, but it's all a bit airy fairy at the moment. We're not sure if it's all a bit up in arms. We don't know if it's official, but I'm hoping. And we've had a few sources that say it might be in the next couple of days, maybe before the week's out, that he'll come in. And if he does, then we need to be positive, because he's had a hand in some good transfers. He's led clubs well. Clubs fans speak highly of him. So he's not Phil Mitchell's brother. So that's much as I know.
Also, to clarify, he's not the one that punched Grealish.
No. Yes, thank you. I've done a little bit of research, so I'll jump in what I know. started as head of recruitment. I've got it written down in my notes. Head of recruitment at MK Dons and Southampton, and then moved on to Tottenham Hotspur to work as head of recruitment in 2014 under Maurizio Pochettino. He then went to Red Bull Leipzig and obviously the Red Bull franchise in 2018 as head of recruitment, became technical director for Red Bull International Soccer. Then went on to AS Monaco as sporting director in June, and then on to Newcastle United, taking over Dan Ashworth. Yeah, highly touted. Everyone loves him. And if you look online, there's not really anyone saying anything bad about him. Got incredible links everywhere as well. He's the kind of director of football that will pull in big transfers, loans, moves.
Yeah.
You people that are on the fringes of your Newcastle United, your people that are in Monaco and youth players that want to develop. People like that, he might be able to bring in, and it's another quill in the bow for Birmingham City for me. I think it's a great one. We thank Craig Gardner for what he did, because you know what, he took over that role in a very difficult time and he steadied the ship, and we're grateful for that. As much as we've got annoyed with him at times at some of the signings, Kyogo, we kind of go, you know what, what's happened is happened, and thank you, Craig. And we hope this guy comes in pretty soon so we can actually feel like we're fully functioning again.
Yeah,
I think the other thing to look at with him is, sorry, Max, carry on.
I was just gonna add in that it's the Newcastle and Tottenham fans that I've been doing a bit of research about and seeing about, which is the positivity around it. Obviously, Jamie, great that you've got that list there about where he's been and what he's done. That's fantastic for the viewers that are watching it, and really positive. But yeah, it was the Tottenham and Newcastle fans that I saw, so they were praising him quite well. Just wanted to say before Josh carries on that Craig Gardner, yes, he needs a lot of praise. He made some mistakes, but he needs a lot of praise, because as far as we are all concerned, he had a big hand in bringing Wagner to the club in the first place. A real big hand getting Wagner and co in. So we have a lot to thank to Craig Gardner, a lot to thank him for what he's done. So I just wanted to add that in, definitely.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I'm just obviously looking at Mitchell on Wikipedia now, and you can sit there and you look at people coming into a football club, and you sit there and some of them, like, let's be honest, Gary Cook has never played professional football in his life. We brought him in. Jeremy Dale's never played professional football. Paul Mitchell started his career at Wigan, went to Halifax, Swindon, MK Dons on loan, then joined MK Dons and did a loan at Wrexham and Barnet. So he had an 8-year career, and the same as Chris Davis, had to retire early due to injuries. But I think that massively helps, because you know how a football team should be working. You know the structure of how things working. You've then gone, like you said, Southampton, Tottenham, Leipzig, Monaco, Newcastle. You've building your portfolio up as massive. But ultimately, he started in them low leagues, so he knows what it takes to build from the ground up. And he knows what it's like to be at the top. So he knows if we're going from where we are at the moment and trying to go up, he can help with that way. And I think ultimately, reading a few things on there, then ultimately he left Newcastle because of all this stuff that's going on with Eddie Howe now. It was never he was doing a poor job. So he stepped down for the sake of, there's a lot of stuff going on at Newcastle, as that everyone can see in the media at the moment, and he just didn't want to be part of it. Like that, he probably stepping away from that, you know.
You probably saw that
he's seen the direction that Newcastle are going and thinking, I need to keep myself clear here, because otherwise that falls on him as being the director of football. And as much as, yes, we thank Craig Gardner for everything he's done, also if he goes to another job and he had put a downfall on Birmingham and left after we got relegated, you're never going to get a job in a big team, because you're going to be, you're the guy that was director of football that ruined Birmingham. If Newcastle have a downfall season now, he's got out early and gone, I'm clear my name, because it's nothing to do with me. I want clean free. So looking, like you said, looking at what Tottenham fans are saying as well as Newcastle fans, I think it's going to be a very good appointment. I would judge off what Blues fans say, but let's be honest, we could say that we're getting Mr. Blobby and everyone would be well happy about it. And someone would find a way to make it all right in. But talk of a director of football coming in, I don't know if you guys have seen what Rob Plaister, or however his surname's spelled, the guy that used to be the gift man for all the signings. He disappeared for a long time off social media, and he come back the other day, and he said that potentially with the director of football being gone, Blues put a stop on players coming in just until they got the director of football in, to make sure that the players they are bringing in are going to fit into our team now. And he obviously don't know how reliable his sources are anymore, but saying that potentially could be a couple of players due in before the start of the season I get we've got 3 days now, so unless we're going to get like an announcement tomorrow on Friday, hoping as nice as away kit would be good. But potentially a player coming in before the weekend or a director of football, it would be something good from the club. Just we've had the big news on Wagner. We had a good friendly against Barcelona. We had a good week then of social media build-up into Swansea. You had a great result at Swansea. Just get us that little bit now that's going to push us and boost the fans into Sheffield United, and then go and play at Sheffield United. The fans are going to be full behind it. And I think a director of football right now is what the fans want. And if you bring that in now, you are going to have the loudest set of fans at Sheffield United on Saturday. They're going to be loud anyway, let's be honest. But just a bit more excitement into the game and a bit more oomph behind it all. Max might be like Mystery Max, not Mad Max for a day. And we'll see how it goes. But I feel like that director of football right now is needed, and ultimately it's just going to boost the confidence around the club, and so it should. So I'm excited to bring him in, see what happens. And like you said, he's not Phil Mitchell's brother, so he's not going to get around shooting anyone.
Something I'd like to quickly throw out there, and it's going to probably bring a downer on it, but for a man like Chris Davies, who ended his career via injuries, why does he keep overplaying players so much when they're injured? I don't understand the concept. Like you've ended your career early with injuries. Stop playing Jay when he's injured. We can all see he's injured. Let the boy rest. But
at the same time, playing devil's advocate, is that Stano going, "No, I'm fit and fine," but then 20 minutes into a game he gets kicked and we go, "He's injured." Or is it Davis playing him knowing what's going on, and it's kind of like he's a £20 million player, I've got to start him. Like we said, we don't know the ins and outs there, but
I would argue Beadle's broken orbital against Middlesbrough at half-time last season when he didn't take him off.
But Beadle against Swansea was great.
But when Beadle looked like he'd literally been right-handed by Mike Tyson, and he went, "No, he's all right to play second." I mean, his eyes shut, but it's fine. You don't need vision as a goalkeeper.
That was bad.
He can't see the ball, but we'll just put a ball in the ball like they do with the blind football. He'll be fine. He played like he was blind last season anyway.
Right. Let's move on before we get shut down.
Remember last time you brought me on, I said Wayne Rooney would have done a better job last season. It was controversial. You'll get the point not to bring me on.
If anyone wants to.
That's getting edited out.
Sheff United away. Max, you'll go in. So I've also got here ambitions ? So are you ambitious? How are you feeling about it? Would you take a point? Do you just want a solid start? What are you as a travelling fan wanting to see? First game of the season.
Wow. Play forward, I think, is the biggest thing. I am an ambitious fan. I always have been. I have been for 30 plus years or however long it is now. I want us to succeed. I want us to get somewhere. I think that, yes, the squad doesn't look much different to the end of last season yet. It's a good point that Josh makes about director of football. You might be holding out for that announcement to then have conversations at the start of next week. There's a good couple of weeks, 2.5 weeks left of the transfer window. So you might want to get that director of football in and then have those conversations afterwards. Yes, we may have missed out on Gelhardt and, that's gone and he might be going to Hull, as I said earlier. But there are still plenty of players out there that we can get in. The rumours of the Jack Taylor, that's it, from Ipswich, that's still floating around. And there's a couple of other options at 10 that we can explore. We're sticking with the keeper now. We know that Beadle is not going anywhere, so that's that. But there are, in terms of transfers, before I jump on to Sheffield United, there are a couple more slots that we need to fill. So let's just be patient. We were getting a bit worried at the middle of July, towards the end of July. We came on here, we said that there's not really any movement. What's going on? We've got no communication. And within a couple of weeks, we'd signed a fair few players and we'd got some communication. So just need to be a bit patient. There's still plenty of time left with that. Going to Sheffield United, yes, I am obviously very excited. I can't wait to get back. I can't wait to get on the road and get back with the fellow Blue Noses that are watching this. I can't wait. If you see me there, come and say hello. I want to share a beer with you, share opinions. I can get Mad Max for you if you want. But yeah, I can't wait. I cannot wait to go. It's been a long summer. We've done a couple of pre-season things and seen some of the squad and had a chat with some of them, and that was nice. But there's nothing like that competitive season coming back. I see that although we're being burnt alive at the moment in England, that the next week is a little bit cooler. So we look like we're heading towards a bit of wet weather and a bit of cooler weather. So, you know, it's that time of the year when autumn starts to rear its ugly head and we get back into that football season, and it's, you know, a cold, dark night under the lights is so long for. I can't wait for it. I love it. It's one of the best feelings when you go and watch football. Thinking about the Watford and Leicester games last year, when we were under the lights and it was horrible, and Millwall as well, Jay, when you got rained on for 90 minutes, but we still managed to smash them. But yeah, I can't wait to go. In terms of performance, I just want us to battle. I want us to fight. I want all of them that play. You know, the 11 that start and the 5 that probably come on is to play for the badge. It's the first game. Nobody's got any form. We know that. It's a bit of a free hit for everybody because, you know, if you get an away win on Saturday as Blues, you can't read too much into it. If you get a home win as Sheffield United, you also can't read too much into it because the two teams will be very different towards the end of the season, I imagine. I don't really rate Sheffield United this year. That's my personal opinion. I think that they finished 13th last year, only about 3 or 4 points behind us. Not too much different, but they've lost Hamer he's gone back to Coventry. He's a prick anyway, but he's gone. But I don't really rate their squad too much. And I think that what might happen to Sheffield is that they'll have this whole middle of the season breakdown. Chris Wilder falls out with everybody and leaves for the 17th time. And then they have to get a new manager in January. So that's my prediction for Sheffield United this year. And Sheffield United fans will probably come at me for that. But, you know, he's got previous, so you can't really come at me too much.
I think he'll back by March.
Yeah, he'll come back again by March, yeah.
We just talk about the fact that Sheffield United are the ultimate you up texters, like to Chris Wilder. You up,
thinking about you. What you up to? Yeah, so I just think that we need to battle, fight, show a bit of passion.
Oi, go. Oi, more passion, more passion, more passion, more energy, more footwork, more.
I'll be able to get some points next week because so many fans will fall apart this weekend if we lose and say, right, that's it, season's over, we've started bad, we've lost away again, what a crap start, we're going to be the same old Birmingham City. We are going to, I hate to break it to you all watching this, but we are going to lose many a game this year because that is what happens in the Championship. Josh, if you could have a look for me while you're sat there, how many games we lost last year in total, because I just want to bring that in because it's a good point to make. When you play in the Championship, you are going to draw games and you're going to lose games. You want to win all of them, but it does not happen. It does not happen. So if this is one for the loss mark, the loss side of things, we don't want it. But if it happens, it happens. There's no form, as I've said before. We've just got to go up there, have a go, good account of yourself, try and get a result. I think in terms of predictions, I would say I can see a 1-1. I can see a 1-1, definitely. I think maybe we go a goal down. And the reason I think that is because start of the season, you look at us against Ipswich last year, we were on fire at the start. We shocked them to shit, didn't we? They couldn't handle us, Ipswich, for the first kind of hour, 70 minutes. And then they slowly came back into it a little bit towards the end. And I think that's what will happen again. I think Sheffield United will be bang up for it. There'll be a full crowd, sellout crowd. They'll be singing, we'll be singing. And I think they'll go at us straight away. And they've got good quality. They've got Patrick Bamford, etc. You know, the like. They've still got that Peck, I believe, playing there. I quite like him. So I think they've got a half decent squad, but they'll go at us, and I think they might go 1-0 up. But I think that we will get a result. I think we'll get a draw. I'd love to win. I'm kind of down there at the front near the goal, so in the corner. So if Jay pops in or Vasquez pops in a 95th minute winner and runs into my corner, you're going to see Mad Max over the hoardings, I'm sure, running around the corner flag. Yeah, but I just want to see something a bit different. You know, Chris Davis, I want to see this forward-thinking football that he keeps talking about, this counter-attacking, this set-piece focus, which we have seen a bit of all of it in pre-season, but I want to see it all in the game. So hopefully it can all come together. Slight improvement on Swansea if we can, because like Josh said, first half was woeful, and maybe if you do that at Sheffield on Saturday, you might be 2 or 3 down at half time, which we don't want that again, because we remember the horrendous result that we had there last year when Tommy Doyle lost his head for a second and decided to tackle him into the stands. We don't want that again. So I think 1-1, good performance, start the season solidly, come home and then maybe win that game against Bristol, and you've got 4 points out the first 2 games and everyone's happy and smiling. So it is a long way to go. Safe travels to everybody going, and I can't wait to get back. I just can't wait for it.
Yeah, I think I would take a point. I want to win every game, as we've all said, but a good point away at a strong Sheffield United team isn't a bad result to start with. But like you said, play with passion, turn up. If we lose 2-1, but we gave it a go, I'll be okay about that. I
That's what I'm saying.
really would. Because it is. And I mean, we're going to move on to the next section. Josh, if you want to throw anything quickly on Sheff, go for it. But we're going to also look at it's a tough start to the season. It really is.
Yeah. Just to quickly answer Max's question, 16 games last season we lost.
Yeah, so that's about a third, or just over a third, slightly just over. So
13 of them away from home.
Yeah, 13 of them away from home, but hopefully that balances out a little bit, and we're not so bad away. Hopefully we stay as good at home, and we rocket up that table. But yes, 16 games lost. I'm sure Coventry lost a fair few, even though they blasted the league. You're going to lose games. So just because one swallow doesn't make a summer, and I've said that before. You lose a game, Championship means you play again in 3 or 4 days. So you turn around, you go again.
I'm hopeful that we have learnt lessons. That's all I wanted to say. Yeah. Have we learnt lessons from last season? Them drop points. This is where this season you've had your kind of free hit of, okay, you're all new to the Championship. It's okay. But right, let's them 1-0, 1-1s at home. Make them 1-0s now. Make them 2-0s. Put games to bed. That was my biggest problem last season. And if we can address that, all going for it. We've already spoke about Prisk. I'm well game for him getting 20 goals this season. Putting it out there now.
Yeah, I agree.
I think Swansea showed that we've learnt a bit from last season because, like I said, that first half was awful. And very, very, very nice touch from Prisk to get the goal. Lucky goal to be able to just get that little breezy touch. But second half, we come out with a different game plan, different style of play, different way of playing. And it showed because Swansea were expecting to come out second half and batter us like they had the first half. All of a sudden, they've come out and they're on the back foot. And that's where I think we've learned from last season. Going on the Sheffield United game, obviously, you're both talking about it being a strong Sheffield United squad. And obviously, they finished 13th last season. I, deep diving into social media for you guys, went on a bit of a wormhole last night. I just
want to say, I think they've got a half decent squad. That's what I think. Jamie said they were strong. I might be with you on this, Josh, because I think they've got a half decent squad. They've got some good talent in there, like Patrick Bamfords of the world and the Pecks, which is what I mentioned. But I said at the start of my segment there, I don't actually see Sheffield United doing a lot this year. That's my personal prediction.
By strong, I meant Chris Wilder's a dick, and you know how ratty a Chris Wilder team is what I'm saying. They're going to go in hard. They're going to snap people. It's going to be a hard game to break down.
Yeah, they'll start strong, which is what I was saying. Absolutely.
But their own fans are on social media doing these championship predictions. You can do them on like TikTok and stuff. The amount of them that I've seen that are putting them to go down. Like their own fans predict they're going to get relegated. Their own fans are saying the bottom 8-10 of the championship because this whole Gus Harmer thing, they've not just lost him, they've lost 4 or 5 big players from last season that were getting them goals and getting them into matches. They've lost people above in the board or in the club that are big influential people in the club. Like we said, it won't be long until Wilder wants to go. They've got a few good players that can play, but their players are like their own fans, are saying like they're greedy players that they keep, and they're not team players. Let's be honest, Patrick Bamford, you'd have him in any team you've got, but he's not a team player. He wants the goals for himself. And they're the kind of players that Sheffield United have got. Now,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, individual quality, absolutely. But half decent squad, some good gems in there, but a bit like a Leicester last year, not a team, not necessarily a team.
Josh, I don't know if your wormholes led you down here, but I've just had a quick glance. Apparently, they still owe their previous owners 35 million, and EFL regulation could be kicking in as well from.
Yeah, so there's a lot of off the pitch antics going on at Sheffield United that ultimately isn't going to put them in good books. And looking at pre-season friendlies, they haven't really played anyone massive. they've picked low league teams, and the two teams that are like big teams that they haven't really got massive results out of. I think their first game of the season, fans are a bit about their team, yet you've got us coming to them full of confidence after a first win at Swansea. Yes, we've got the same team, but our fans are going to be up for it. The players are going to be up to prove a point. You've got, like we said already, you've got Beadle coming back into a team to prove he can do it at the Championship. John Solis is looking incredible, and he's going to want to prove a point this season. Stanley's going to have a point to prove. Prisk, as much as I keep hearing Blues fans say it was against low league teams, he scored 5 or 6 goals in pre-season. When was the last time Blues had a striker that scored 5 or 6 in pre-season? It hasn't happened for a long time. I think ultimately, I'm not going to be butthurt if we go and get a 1-1 draw. I think we ultimately, if we play like we did second half against Swansea, I don't see why we can't win the game. And I wouldn't say we're going to go Sheffield United and batter them at home, but a cheeky redo of the season a couple of seasons ago when we played the first game of the season, and Maxime Collins scored a cracking header to win us the game. I'd take a Bright Asai Samuel header to win the game. And just to see Max go flying over that holding in the 96th minute, to see Bright Asai Sammy stood the other side of him, that reaction would be great. And I'd take it all day, but I think ultimately they're there for the taking. Like Max said, we don't know at the moment. Teams haven't really put anything up pre-season. You don't play your strongest 11, really. But I don't see why we shouldn't be pushing for 3 points. But I think a minimum is we have to be walking away with a point.
Yeah. I think the Max celebrations would be more Bright winning a header more than anything at that point. I think it'd just be pure
imagine
shock.
him winning a header, Max gets happy, and then all of a sudden he looks up and Bright Side Sandwich stood there celebrating because he scored the winner. What would he complain about next week? What would he complain about?
Oh no, it'd be beautiful.
If Pate plays and he passes forward and Bright Side Samuel tracks back and is in the right position, I'll be happy.
Pate's put the crossing for the header. Although I did just see on Twitter, which has really upset me, that Willem Willemsen's playing Champions League football this season.
Keeps happening. Sunjic was another one.
Sunjic,
Emmanuel Iro.
Yeah. All of these players leaving us and go to Champions League football.
Jeremy Boga
they
as
can't
well.
play Championship. Jeremy Boga, is he like Juventus or something now?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
It's because they go into the arse end of fucking Europe, nowhere teams and nowhere leagues that do get 1 or 2 teams that get to go into the qualifying rounds of the Champions League and sometimes qualify, I think. But they go into the arse end of nowhere to play, and that's why they're getting in. I just think it's a joke, but one day we might be there, Josh. We might be in the Champions League. Who knows? You're probably going to clip that up, and I'm going to get absolute fucking pelters for it.
It's fine. Jay, can I ask you a question for the pod to kind of steer the conversation? You mentioned it to me earlier. To go off topic of Blues a little bit, what are your thoughts of what's going on with Derby?
I think they are firmly in the bin. Have you seen this, Max, that the Saudi takeover has fell apart in front of them, basically?
I have. I think they're in trouble, aren't they?
That tells me that they are in trouble. It also, and listening to other podcasts I do when I'm driving, I always have a football podcast on or talk sport. John Eustace has never lasted 2 whole seasons at a football club. He's done obviously the end of the season before with Derby, done this, but this will be the first time if he finishes this season, he's done 2 whole years successfully. I see him jumping ship. I really do. I think they'll lose the manager. I think the result, no Derby. I think they're gonna.
That's what I mean. He'll go Sheffield United.
What they do a swap.
Team on some wild go back.
I think they've got a good team, and I think that might keep them up. But I think that they'd be. I mean, if you look, they've been sending a few people, and they've been trying to get people in and out. So obviously, they got Bobby Clark on a permanent, but I see Derby being in that. I genuinely, and clip me on this if you want to. I see a lot of teams getting point deductions this year for EFL regulation financials, because I think a lot of teams are in trouble this year. I think we've done all right with Knighthead, and we're actually in a financially okay position now, and I really do. I think under BSHL we would have liquidated by now, but I think a lot of teams are now going to get comeuppance on these things you've seen about Sheff 35 million. The Saudis have now pulled out of Derby, and
look at Sheff Wednesday last season though.
Sheff Wednesday, there's a lot of dodgy stuff going on, and it's never nice to go through it as a football club, but Derby laughed at us when we were in the bin. So,
are we going to have a party the day that Derby County dies?
you know what I mean? So,
Max, I've got a different question for you.
Go on.
Going on about club ownerships, I mentioned this to Jay earlier, and he was a bit shocked when I heard it. So my best mate's a Liverpool fan, and he sent me a post that says a consortium including Amazon founder Jeff Bezos and Facebook co-founder Eduardo Saverin is closing a deal to acquire a large minority stake in Liverpool. Mm-hmm. How big is that going to be in terms of football, bringing that kind of money into a club?
Very big, I think. I think you're looking at the likes of him, and Elon Musk will probably be the next one that gets thrown around. That's when that happens, it's game over, isn't it? Because you've got two of the richest people in the whole world. I know the Saudis have got money, and that's obviously the situation with Derby where they've pulled out. But yeah, going into a club like Liverpool, who have already got a very decent backing, a very good history, very strong history, loads of wins, loads of cups won and success. I just think that this is what I listened to on TalkSport the other day, which is about transfers and players, and this is where it comes into when you throw so much money at it, like this Jeff Bezos thing might happen, and you've pumped in so much money with the new SCR rules as well, so squad cost ratio rules coming in this season. When you pump so much money into football, and the inflation is just gonna hit the roof, because transfers right now I think I saw something about Lewis Skelly from Arsenal. He might be thrown out there to potentially be sold or loaned because he wants first team football and he's not going to maybe get it at Arsenal. They were talking about 50 million for him. And when you're looking at players that get moved, the oversaturation of kind of ownership and the amount of money that's being pumped in, I don't know how teams like ours could ever compete with some of this, because yes, Wagner's got money and Knighthead have got money, but we haven't got Amazon money, we haven't got Tesla money. This is different level. So how are we ever going to get there and compete? Because imagine we signed or paid for a player 50 million for someone like Lewis Skelly. You got the Andersons of the world going to City for like, what is it, 100 million, whatever it was. It's just 116 or something. 116. And Morgan Rogers going for over 100 as well. It's crazy. The money in this game is crazy. And when you're bringing in business owners and massively successful business owners, worldly successful business owners like Jeff Bezos, you've almost got an unfair advantage, I think, Josh, in terms of answering your question. I just think you've got so much money. You've got so much money to play with. It's unfair on the little ones, on the little guys, which we consider ourselves maybe a sleeping giant, and we want to get back to the Premier League. We think we belong there maybe, and we want to get back there and succeed. But there's the divide between the Championship and the Premier League is ever growing bigger, isn't it? It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and we are never going to be able to compete with the likes of, the way I see it, how the hell are we ever going to win a Premier League? I'd love to. I really would. But how the hell are we ever going to do that? Because the money is just insane. For us to bridge that gap between where we are right now and buying players for 3, 4, 5, 6 million quid. I know that you get a lot of money when you go into the Premier League, and there's a lot of investment, a lot of sponsorship, and it turns around. But it's worrying for me the way that, and this is what I was listening to on TalkSport, this is what I was saying, that it's just the game is out of control with money. And if you listen to somebody like Simon Jordan, he's very well equipped to discussing something like this. He's quite clever with it, and he understands what to talk about and where to reference. But a lot more than me. This is just my personal opinion, because obviously you've asked me. But I just think the game has gone a bit batshit crazy with money. So when you bring in somebody like that, Josh, to answer your question, it's almost a cheat code. It really is.
Is he going to invest? So we look at like Knighthead and the amount that they've invested into our club. Obviously, if Jeff Bezos goes and sticks 2 billion in Liverpool, they've still got to make 2 billion back. Obviously, FFP, we can't just go willy-nilly spend. I've got 78 million. I'm going to spend it.
I know that. Yeah, I know that. Yeah.
But it makes you wonder why is someone like Bezos looking at a football club? And if so, how much of that football club is he going to have involvement in? How much is he going to put into it? And like you said, I think in the famous words of Sean Dyche, the football's gone, the game's gone, because it is now all about football, all about money. The only bright thing that ever happens is that Villa have just lost the Super Cup. So
I was just going to say it's just pinged 2-1 full-time PSG.
Yeah. So fuck them. But no, I think Bezos coming in at someone at Liverpool who's already a big club. If he was coming into a team like Blues or Wrexham or Sheffield United or someone like that where he's not going to throw all his money in, but he could invest like Knighthead have done with us, you'd sit there and go, it works, it makes sense. You're just there to financially run a club. You're going to eventually make the profits and get them into Champions League. But when you go into a 20-time Premier League winner, a 6-time Champions League winner, they've won 13 League Cups, 6 FA Cups, like you said, it's a cheat code. What is the point of picking someone? Go and buy Burnley and win them the Premier League. Like,
I think that somebody like him has got the power to just. He's almost like the overseeing lord of the world, isn't he? And he can just look at the Premier League and he can almost throw a dart at whatever team he wants to pick. That's the position that he's in. He's got trillions and trillions of pounds like Elon Musk. Forget billions, way past that now. Yeah. You are literally throwing a dart into a piece of paper that's got all the Premier League teams listed, all the European teams listed, and you go, oh, it's hit Liverpool. Let me pump in 30%. Let me try and buy 30% of that. Now, that's up to him. The only thing that I worry about a little bit, and this is quite contradictory and hypocritical because our owners are American. I worry about the side of the game that is leaning towards America. And I think Jordan will probably back me up on this. I know he'll be watching, but it's something he's mentioned before that I think, was it 11 or 12 of the Premier League clubs are owned by American owners now, American ownership. There's a lot of Premier League clubs. I think it's over half anyway. And it's happening in the Championship as well. We've seen in the World Cup all of the things that we hate about America in soccer or football, as we love to call it, football, and that's what it should be called. I worry about where the game is going. I worry about the fact that potentially people like Jeff Bezos might want to try and pull those Premier League games over to America. This is what I think is going to happen eventually. They tried to talk about it with Wrexham and Birmingham at one point, saying that could it be played in America because of obviously Rob McElhenney and that situation over there. I worry about it. I worry about that side of it, that these American owners with all this money are coming in and they're going to try and faction it off to America and maybe start playing some games because, I follow NFL, and that's started to happen with coming over in the opposite direction. So it's coming over to England to be played. So the American teams and fans are kicking off about that. But we'll have to see. I just worry a little bit about it. So that's my opinion on that. I do think that we have to be careful, and we don't want to start seeing hydration breaks and adverts and all this bollocks that we're seeing. I can't, what was it at Barcelona? The ball was driven out by a remote control car, right? On the game against Barcelona. I haven't got time for shit like that. I don't have time for shit like that. That we're the English game. We're old school. We come from the mud. We're working class. This is what we're about. We don't drive footballs out on fucking remote control cars. I'm sorry, that's not.
I remember we were in the Prem. We had the ball delivered by a parachuter for Remembrance Sunday.
Well,
that's different. Remembrance Sunday, that's very different.
But that's what I mean. For like a big game like that, you'd have it, but remote control car. To answer your question, by the way, it's over 11 clubs have some sort of American ownership.
I said 12. I was close. Yeah.
So
and that includes Man City's minority owner is American, even though they're owned by the Saudis.
That don't count. Nice. I mean, that was a really fun segue, and I would say let's do a Mad Max segment, but I'm guessing Mad Max just appeared very quickly when we were talking about American style football.
Yeah, you can use that. Like I say, I'm still timid. You've got to see me after Sheffield United, because if we lose 5-0 and Chris Davis plays sideways and backwards for the whole game, I'm going to be fucking fuming, and I'll have plenty to say. But right now, the weather's good, the vibes are good. Saturday we bring it on. I can't wait. I'm pretty happy at the moment, and that's odd for me. If you find me in a dark corner in the middle of November after we're sat third bottom in the league, you're going to find that I come out a lot easier in terms of Mad Max. So let's just wait and see what happens.
We'll also get Mad Max out very quickly when he realises the Buccaneers are no good and he should be an Eagles fan. But we'll get to American football another day, mate.
Do not bring hand egg into my podcast.
Jordan's about to cry watching this.
Jordan's just launched his phone.
It's fine. I support the wrestling and the football, so I get where you're both coming from.
Yeah.
We'll keep that argument down a bit this week.
Yeah, so we've currently got Melatonin Max, which is nice.
That's a good one. Yeah, I like that.
Josh, obviously this would be lovely Mr. Pink, but he's away. So Josh, do you want to take it away with Wanker of the Week?
Yeah, I think rightly so. There's only one guy that is Wanker of the Week. And for anyone who hasn't seen it, you are going to get a clip of me right now. Xavier Simons the other day in the round of Carabao Cup against Sheffield Wednesday, punching a 16-year-old lad in the stomach. You, sir, are an absolute wanker. There is no reason for that in football. There's no reason to kick. He's pulled your shirt. Get over it. Take a free kick and move on with the game. There is no need to be throwing punches into the stomach of a 16-year-old lad. To any player, to be fair, especially in round one of the Carabao Cup. Like, it's not that deep. It's not like it's a World Cup final. It's literally round one of the Carabao Cup. So, well done. You are a fucking wanker. You prick. Sorry, he's really infuriated. George sent me the video the other day, and I watched it, and I was gobsmacked. I was like, how the fuck are you reacting like that? Like, that gives me, like, Mitrovic or Joey Barton vibes.
Yeah, I didn't realise he was 16. That's the thing I was shocked about. I didn't realise he was just a young lad. And I think, yes, of course, anybody that gets punched, you shouldn't be doing it. But he's a boy. What the hell is that about? That's fucking horrendous. That's unforgivable. Just throw away the key, in my opinion. What a wanker. Absolutely spot on.
Absolute wanker. But my one argument is, why did he get down holding his face? He got punched in the stomach. He went down. That, I think, in football needs to stop. But he did get punched, so the other guy's a wanker.
Well, in all fairness, it's one of them. He might as well just move to Germany and never be heard of again, like certain footballers that do stuff at our club and misbehave. Ducks. Who said that? Anyone seen Marvin? Vanished, ain't he?
He's got blonde hair now, anyway. That's all we know.
Yeah.
He's gone.
Can't wait for him to be back fully fit again and Davis suddenly launch him into an 11 as well.
He's going to become prime Phil Foden with his blonde hair, isn't he?
I am telling you, fucking Marvin Ducks will play in the fucking 10 against Sheffield United, and I'll be stood there.
Marvin Ducks going in goal.
Awata, Ducks. No.
Yeah. Pake Awata. Solis is on the bench. He's fucked off. You've got, absolutely. I can see it. Taylor Gardner plays right now.
Roberts has been lent to Sheffield United for the game, and he's going to score a brace past us.
What he'll do? This will send Max into Mad Max before the game and starts. He'll look and he'll still Pake in the 10 Ducks up front, and Max's head's just on Mars.
No. You've got to play Prisky, boy. Prisk is on fire already. He's ready. You see him, he's absolutely ready. And I agree with Josh. 20 goals, fucking 15 to 20. He's going to smash it.
Oh, guys, this has been phenomenal. And this has been Lawlor's Law, guys. Please like, comment, and subscribe. We'll be back next week. Keep right on.
Keep right on.